Long distance relationships can start in two different ways, or maybe more, depending. The first one is you actually meet in person, and from there, you have a life change. And then the relationship goes from in person to long distance. And I will say, in that case, that has more success rate or chance to succeed, or is going to be healthier in general. Case number two is you meet the person and it's an online relationship. You guys meet online somehow on social media, on a dating app, and it starts long distance, it continues long distance, and it remains long distance for a long time. So, thank you, everyone in chat. So sweet. So, what happens is, and this is what I want to focus on, okay? I'm not here to tell you how to live your life or how to live your relationships, do what you will. But the more distance there is between you and someone in the physical, the more scenarios your mind will be able to create, the more fantasies you'll be able to dive into. Not saying that every long distance relationship is great, because I know that the bare minimum and the bar below the bare minimum is always available to anyone in any type of relationship. But for someone who grew up without presence, and this is especially important, this is the focus of the video. For someone with no presence, growing up alone for the most part, or feeling disconnected from their family, or even not having that emotional rapport with their family, the long distance relationship can create that sense of emotional connection without having to invest a physical time or physical presence, which can trick your brain into thinking that you are already receiving it. It's already happening. But yet it's still coming from someone external to you. And if that's the case, and you haven't had a lot of reassurance growing up or a lot of care, then it's your job to focus on that because you deserve it. And by job, I mean, it's not going to be easy, but it's not going to be extremely difficult. There's just a lot of things you got to do to get yourself there, to avoid seeking it outside of yourself, and let alone in these long distance relationships where unfortunately there is so much room for your creativity to go crazy, for you to feel like there is so much potential. And the more you delay meeting with the person, the longer you wait, the higher the risk. Because here's the thing, a lot of people are more comfortable behind a screen. We know that. And oftentimes we forget to include ourselves. We also get more comfortable expressing how we feel or sharing our thoughts or being open. And if you have this background of not receiving a lot of emotional support and care and keeping to yourself and managing your own feelings, you feel like you're doing it through the phone. But getting face to face with the person, you realize that at the end of the day, you still have the same limitations. Hello, Jesse. Hello, everyone in chat. A little secret live stream before I announce that I do those. Just wanted to see if the connection was good. It's my first time live streaming with YouTube as the platform. Usually I use OBS, so let's see how that goes. Seeing this title when I myself am wondering if it would be okay starting a long distance relationship is crazy. It's okay. Like, keep this in mind. I'm just sharing my thoughts. If you feel called to do something, do what you will. I'm sharing the risks with you, especially when you have people nearby. I mean, you live probably in a neighborhood or close to a neighborhood that has activities. I feel like it's choosing the difficult choice. And I decided to talk about this because I receive tons of questions on Instagram every single time I do these question boxes about long distance relationships specifically. People have experienced a lot of deception as well through long distance relationships because there's so much room to create a fantasy. And a lot of people are more likely to fall into this than they think, because we always think it's not going to happen to us, it's going to happen to other people. And they spend a lot of time and commitment and a lot of hours on the phone with someone. And we are at a point where we've felt so disconnected from people. Ever since 2020, what we need is more connection, it's not more distance. So if the relationship started in person and, like I mentioned, it ends up being long distance because of a work commitment or something happens, that can test the strength of the relationship. But choosing to begin a relationship long distance is also choosing the more risk for a lower reward, not only every single day, but down the line. And especially if it's someone that you only see on photos and video calls, even that doesn't guarantee that there's going to be chemistry in person, that you're going to feel comfortable with this person, and all the time that you're investing into your idea of who they are. Because long distance really allow us to put together this idea of who someone is. It's not only easier for someone to lie and to deceive, but for us to just take the best and create more with it. It is just a higher risk with a lower reward. Not only do you still go to bed on your own every single day, but you're always waiting and delaying. And I find a lot of people enjoy this self made suffering, like these masochistic tendencies of delaying joy and delaying happiness. And only when I'm getting there, I'll be able to feel this way. Only when I get this thing, then I'll be able to feel proud. Only when I do this, then I'll be able to feel happy. And I find it interesting. I think it's a way of living that can bring success for some people. But in relationships, it's a difficult choice. Hey, Andrew, your advice has saved me. Well, it's good to read that. Thank you for being here and sharing that. So, long distance relationships bring the feeling that we crave and the idea of emotional connection without having to blend everything together. So that is the chemistry, the intimacy, the vulnerability, the investment, the time investment, the energy investment. Um, and I want you to shoot higher for yourself. This is what I'm aiming at with this video. At the end of the day, you're going to do what you will always. And if you want to be in a long distance relationship, I'm still going to sleep fine tonight, regardless. But I want you to shoot higher for yourself. I want you to decide that you deserve to have a relationship in person with someone who is available for you and to you, close by, or at least you can drive there, that you can see frequently. I want you to shoot for that because this is where the growth really happens. When we are in long distance relationship, we feel like we're building so much and we're feeling so much, and but ultimately we are learning to delay, 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 wait, wait, wait. And there's just a higher risk for every single thing. I'm from Texas and met someone from Oklahoma. We currently are friends and known her for 14 months. When we're in the same state, we see each other 2, 3 times a week. 2, 3 times a week is good. That's a good ratio. And if someone wanted to, they would. So this is your reminder today. It's not to dismiss every single long distance relationship. I don't know your situation. I don't know really what's going on in your life. But if you are on the lookout for a relationship, go out there. Shoot for something that is real. And if you're saying, I wish I had a relationship at all, build that with yourself first. Be the person you're excited to come home to. Make yourself exciting. Build friendships. Love is available in multiple ways. But when we delay, when we're used to absence and we have to romanticize absence because we grew up in these environments, we are more at risk of being deceived and feeling let down after a huge buildup for something that ultimately could have been easily, easily done in just a simple face to face meeting. Mm, appreciate your comments. This is important to share because we're so much on our phones, and people nowadays do use apps like Instagram to date, um, make connections online, spend a lot of time. And the target audience in general for long distance relationship, I believe, are people that were raised mostly on their own, had some absence in their life at some point, or are delaying their joy. It's always the next step. No, this, when I get this is when I'm going to be able to feel this way, and have those masochistic tendencies ultimately. I'm reading amazing books on the topic. It's not inherently accurate for everyone, but the idea that it's never there, it's never available for you, it's always just a country away, it's always just another time away, another text, another phone call. Look, if I'm being honest with you and very straightforward, think of things from a parent perspective. Imagine your kids. Imagine you have a young daughter, a young son at home, at whatever age, maybe like early adulthood, whatever, and they're engaging in these long distance relationships. You would be worried for so many reasons. Like, you don't really know who it is. Yes, they may appear a certain way on calls and videos, but they need to come to you. You need to meet them. You would be concerned. Yet when it comes to ourselves, we always assume that it's not going to happen to us. And there's different people in the world, some people that learn from experience and then teach others, and people that need to experience something to understand. There's people that learn from what people experience and navigate differently. And then there's people also that don't give a lot of thought into these things, and it just kind of happens, and we're never really questioning why we do certain things. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's life. It's like that. There's no better or worse, but what I'm saying is always the way you shoot for yourself, you root for yourself, you aim for happiness. Remember, what is the goal of a relationship at the end of the day? It's your happiness. It's for you to feel happy every single day. It doesn't mean that every day has to be grandiose, but just so that every single day you feel a sense of purpose, of connection, of happiness, simplicity, joy. And those are all things available to you in your day to day life. And when you start creating that for yourself, that's the energy you attract, and especially in person. Online, the issue is that not only we become an idea ourselves, but we are spending a lot of time and energy. It's a lot. And you might be thinking, well, it's not as much as if I was going on a date every Friday. I have to commute. But it is so much more. It's more energy than that, because it's always happening, yet it's never happening. It's always away from you, but yet it's always inside of you. And it's just reinforcing that belief that love and happiness is always absent, but you can feel it in the present by romanticizing the ideas that you make yourself of other people. And we do this because we're smart. It's something that is learned in childhood, but you're not a kid anymore. You're an adult. And you want to step up as the adult version of you that decides that, okay, it was cool to have those protective mechanisms in childhood. We did good. We did okay. How much better can it get? Really, if this is the only life I have to live, or there's so much time I have on earth, how much longer do I want to fall asleep on the phone and wake up with a pimple on my cheek? How much longer do I want to tell my friends, yeah, we're going to meet soon, we're going to meet soon, and it's not happening? How much longer do you want to miss someone instead of enjoying the presence of someone? I do blame the movies for that, guys. I will tell you, because there's a lot of movies that bring sadness and romance together in such a beautiful way. It's a tragic way. Um, it's beautiful. And then if you watch a lot of movies, perhaps you internalize that the more I suffer for someone, the more I miss someone, the more I don't have access to someone, the more valuable they are, and the more meaningful this is, and the more intense this is. Hello, hello. You are in a long distance relationship. So, did it start long distance or it became long distance? In the beginning, I acknowledge these two different roots of the relationship. And I do think there's a right way. If the relationship didn't start long distance and you guys end up long distance because you have goals and you want to support each other in this life, that makes sense. There needs to be constant planning, organization, lots of intention, and a deadline to when are we seeing each other next. And it shouldn't be that long in between. We shouldn't be waiting months and months and months and months. We shouldn't be waiting more than like 2 months at the very most. um, but that's my opinion. That's what I believe in. If you want to remove the feeling of uncertainty and you want to look forward to something instead of missing them because it's not really the thing, it's the place it's coming from. But now, if it starts online and you meet on a social media app, the meeting must take place as soon as possible. The longer you wait, the more room you make for fantasies and ideas that make you feel good in the moment. But then there's such a big buildup that it's extremely hard for the person to live up to it and for yourself to feel comfortable expressing those needs. Because the catch is online, because we have that distance, we have that phone. Even if it's on a video call, I don't care. Even right now, you're seeing me on the screen, but I don't see your reactions. If you were face to face with me, my tone would be different. I would be more engaging. I would be like, okay, I see something here. I would be tuned in. My energy would lift up. But it could also bring being brought down, depending. If you guys are throwing tomatoes at me and you're saying, I hate what you're saying and I hate you, then maybe my energy would be like, okay, woo, oh, let's, oh my goodness, you know? So, but I'm still the same person. And so instead of creating a narrative and shooting for the romance and the fantasy, it's much more interesting to see first, how do they make you feel? And you have to go in person to figure that part out. There's no way you can figure that out on a video call. There is no way. That's my belief. Now, some of you will say there is a way, there is a way. That's but I'm talking, this is my thoughts, my opinion. There is no way. You don't, there's no, you don't have a scent, you don't have a touch, you don't see how they move, you don't see how they walk, you see nothing. You see, in my opinion, you see nothing. Hello, everyone. I had a long distance relationship, started so, and it remained that way for a long time, and then it slowly collapsed. It's so hard because you want to be merging lives with someone in a relationship. Ultimately, you want to integrate them in your life. But then the physical absence makes it so that you have to compensate for the lack of presence in your life by doing other things. And you're then building a solo life, doing other things, trying to not overthink about the fact that your friend is in a relationship and she's going home with her fiance and they're having dinner together, and you come back home waiting for a FaceTime. I'm not here to put people down in long distance relationships at all, by the way. But sometimes these are the kinds of activities we take part in secretly. Not a lot of people know, and perhaps you don't share a lot about it to friends, so you don't have feedback about it. But just recently, I met with someone who was interested in working with me. And so he told me his story, and it was a very long, drawn out exchange online about their wish and their goal. And I want to be married. Oh, me too. I want to have kids. Me too. It's like doing the Q&A dating. I made a video about Q&A dating. Like, you want this? Me too. I want that. Me too. Only to meet in person and realize that she doesn't really care that much about him. She was pretty dismissive. She wasn't really making time for him. And that's after a huge buildup by phone and text and online. The point I'm trying to make here is not to pretend that I have like a radar in your life and I know exactly what you're up to and you've been doing so wrong. It's to ask you to shoot higher for yourself. If you're interested in relationships, and if that's the case, start with the relationship with yourself and start with your friendships always. This is going to be much more interesting. It's going to be stronger to build, and there's going to be less doubts in your heart at the beginning because it's less of a commitment, right? When you build a friendship, you're not their only friends. You guys are not committing for life. You're not being monogamous friends. You don't have to just see that one person. Your relationship with yourself, it's private, and ultimately I hope you get to the point where you know you'll always have your back. So even if you fall short, or you were to fall short, you're not going to give up on yourself for that. No, you deserve more than that. So you're going to give yourself that. Now, when it comes to romantic relationships, because it triggers all of the insecurities and the BS from childhood for a lot of people that need this kind of information, not everybody, but it's more vulnerable, it's more challenging. So when we shoot at this level, when we know we come from a lot of challenges, it's a lot. It's like you're saying, I want to start running, and then you do an ultra marathon for your first run. I think there's a great way to shoot a little bit above your current skill set, especially in relationships, in the self love department and the self acceptance department. And when you get to the point where you have your back and you trust yourself to build solid friendships that are actually fun and low pressure, and you don't find yourself cosplaying in the friendships or trying to be liked, or, oh, me too, trying to have the same interests. You're just basically giving presence, receiving presence, and creating energy and doing activities. And that's just kind of a flow, you know? I'm talking about it in a very esoteric way, but it's very simple. Life is not complicated. We make it complicated because of our consciousness. So here's the deal. If you are in a long distance relationship and you're happy with that, because deep down, well, that's my assumption, because deep down, you know you will never really feel happy in a real relationship where you have to share space with someone and you have to compromise and you have to delegate and like be vulnerable. If deep down you're so closed off and you've decided intentionally it's never going to happen for me and you're committed to that, then I think you are a good participant for a long-term relationship. That's just my opinion, because ultimately some people will have those relationships. I think there's an archetype of people that can fit that a little bit better. And it still gives you a good feeling. And, do I personally think it's the best? No, definitely not. But if that's the best you can do and that you want, and that's as much as you want, then that must be the best. In reality. Ooh, reject parasocial digitality and embrace physical connection. Now, I have nothing against dating apps. So, because the context is you find someone and then you engage in a date and you're going on the field in real life. So, I would say anything parasocial, digitally, I agree, definitely. My best advice, don't spend too much time getting to know someone online in hopes for a relationship. Figure out what you need to figure out and then make your move. Yes, it's a secret live. As you guys can see, we're just a very few amount of people on here. I did not post about this live at all. Just wanted to drop one first live so you guys know it's a thing. I have so much fun doing these. And I've been thinking about this topic. It's been on my head. I receive questions every week on Instagram about this. So finally, next time I get it, I'll just be dropping the link. Here are my full thoughts. If you're someone who likes to experience things and it's for you, you never really feel like you wasted time. And we'll talk about this in another live. But if you are a life experiencer, you want to try everything, go ahead, do it. Prove me wrong. Have a good long distance relationship that I'm willing to be proven wrong. I want you guys to prove me wrong. If you guys are in a happy long distance relationship, give us the tips, share with us what makes it so great. I think there's always a bundle of perspectives out there. But from the perspective of someone who had to, for the most part, raise herself on her own, the last thing that I want is to build my relationship on my own. So you guys have to understand that it's always coming from personal experiences and my own lenses, not the truth. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is the truth. Um, but especially with everything that happened in 2020, the last thing I feel like we need is more distance between us. What are friends and how do you make them? Friends are people that you enjoy being around, that energize you, and that you feel comfortable around, and that you can see casually here and there to catch up and get curious about. And how do you make them? You have personal hobbies and interests that push you in social context. At least that's how I make my friends. And I'll do a separate live on how to be social and make friends because this is a skill I've built that I would love to share with you guys. Um, but it requires a video on its own or a live of its own, or else people will see the title here and will be like, what the heck? So that is it for today's 30-minute live. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon. Once again, it was a pleasure being here, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Bye.